Hey there. Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Absolute Never Forever. A true story of life and love and death in the 1980s. Manhattan. Stave 3, April 1985 to March 1986, in which Joni Mitchell is proven right. Ich weiß, dass man vor Leeren Schrecken zittert. Doch war es Unglück bringt der falsche Wahn. I know that we oft tremble at an empty terror, but a false phantasm brings a real misery. Friedrich von Schiller. I only stood hopeless in front of the empty shell of the Vino Veritas ex-booze store for a few minutes before I got completely drenched in the rain. There I stood, stuck between the seconds as the rain pelted down. I stood there under no awning, getting wetter. The rolling gate was down, so I couldn't get close enough to the window to peek through the cracks in the butcher paper to see what was going on in there. The sign, the neon sign that once glorified the window saying Vino Veritas, was gone. It wasn't even an ex-booze store anymore. Now it was just a soon-to-be paint store. New home of New York Paint Fair. Coming soon, apparently. I felt overwhelmed with a huge sense of loss. This place was my home for a time. I came to love this place and the people there. It felt so foreign to be standing in front of this beloved place that was now this strange place. I felt as hopeless as a little girl who had accidentally let go of her helium balloon. I felt a huge, gasping, hollow pit inside of me. I stood there, on the brink, once again on the brink of the abyss, which yawned up behind my heels. How did I get here? I wondered. How does this help me become more who I am? What do I do with this information to make myself a better person? What information? I know nothing of what happened here. Where does this place me in the universe? What is my place? Do I even have one? The abyss crept closer to my feet and slowly began to wrap its dark, soft, woolen tentacles around my legs, around my ankles. Joni Mitchell was right. You absolutely don't know what you've got until it's gone. This place was a link to reality for me, and I didn't even realize it till this very moment, standing there in front of the corpse of Vino Veritas. I loved this place, and yet I fled in terror because of a negative, of a photograph. I turned my back, and this is what I come home to? What am I supposed to do with this? How do I learn from this to become to realize and honor all the amazing things that happened here? Where is everybody? What do I do now? The abyss tightened its grip on my ankles It felt like a burglar grasping me by the leg. I jumped. I shook it off, and I realized I sort of came to from just standing there in front of the store, looking and standing in the rain, getting drenched. I realized, well, there's nothing more I can do here now. I decided it was time to walk home. I looked at the store. I bowed to it. And I turned and started to walk up 3rd Avenue. As I started walking, the rain slowed to a drip, 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 and the rain stopped raining completely. Of course it did. Now, I want to talk to you about something because nobody else does. Rent. Yes. Time for a little Capitalism One Oh Drat. Yes. Rent. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever talks about it when you're a little kid, when you're growing up. Your parents don't talk about it. Your teachers don't talk about rent and paying rent. Later on, when you're a young adult, when you're going to school, when you're going to college, your professors never talk about rent. The only sage financial advice that my father ever gave me was to be shrewd and make shrewd decisions. He certainly didn't tell me how to do it. My college professors never talked about rent. I went to college, as people do, to learn a profession. In my case, the profession of acting. Part of any profession is the making money part of it, the investing money part of it, the money part of it. And none of my professors ever even talked about any of that. No, they don't. They don't talk about it at all, about the money part. And the money that you do make from your profession mostly all goes away. Where does it go? Mostly rent. It's the biggest expense that you're going to have in your life for the next 20 or 30 or 40 or more years. And nobody ever says a damn thing about it. Nobody tells you that it's what you're going to be chasing for the next few decades. Chasing it for the next few decades, pretty much no matter what. Especially if you live in a cold, hard, dark, unforgiving place like New York City. If you mess up on the rent in New York City, it's out goes you. I have firsthand knowledge of this very topic. So, of course, I was pretty anxious and paid scrupulous attention to my savings and whether or not I was on schedule with making the rent by the end of the next month. Right. I had a 28-day schedule. I made a schedule and I thumbtacked it to the wall in my bedroom. And it let me know how much money I should have saved in my rent fund at any given day of the month. I had to accumulate at least $19 a day or more in my rent fund if by the end of the month I wanted to pay my bills. Yes. Some months were easier than others, which is why it's so vitally important to have a job in Manhattan. Well, just like it's vitally important to have a job no matter what city or state you live in. A job. Yes. So, now I want to go back in time a little bit. Just a little bit to back when I first started working on Broadway. at the Winter Garden Theater. Yes. Now, back months before, in glory days, at the booze store, and we didn't realize it was glory days at the booze store, the opportunity came to me to apply for another job at another place, and I was likely to make more money than I was making at Vino Veritas. Well, I flew to that. A couple of my Detroiter friends were working on Broadway at the Winter Garden Theater as bartenders. And they said that concessions were hiring. My friend Randy, my hero who let me sleep on his sofa when I was homeless in the beginning, and Carp, my drinking buddy. Yes, they both were employed at the Winter Garden Theater. So they said I should apply. So I did. Guess what? I got hired. So suddenly, I'm working on a Broadway show. I'm working on Broadway. No fooling, no tricks, no jokes. I'm working on Broadway, where they say the neon lights are bright. Hey, Ma, I made it to Broadway. Isn't that everybody's dream? Well, I did. I made it. I made it to Broadway. I was working on Broadway. Yeah. However, I was not working on Broadway as an actor. I was not working on Broadway as a singer or a dancer or a performer at all. I was not involved on this Broadway show as a backstage technician in any capacity. I was not involved in the performance aspect of this hit Broadway musical at all. My job was selling concessions in the lobby for the hit Broadway musical Cats. Yes. I was selling Cats, full color show programs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, records, cassettes, books, and buttons. Yes. I suppose earlier in my life, when I was wishing that I worked on Broadway, I should have been more specific. Yes. Well, you walk in to the Winter Garden Theater, originally built in 1896 as the American Horse Exchange. Right. And then converted into a theater in 1911 by the Schuberts. It was converted into the Winter Garden Theater in 1911. It opened May 20th, 1911, with La Belle Paris, a musical revue starring Al Jolson. This was one of his first big starring roles that made him be the hit of Broadway that he later on became. Yes. And the Marx Brothers performed at the Winter Garden in 1928 in Animal Crackers. Yes. Well, you walk through the outer doors into the outer lobby, and there are the gilded ticket windows over on the side. Yes. And then you walk through the next set of doors into the richly carpeted inner lobby. Yes, and there you can buy souvenirs. Or you can rent a set of headphones for the hearing impaired. They had and then you go through that set of ornate doors into the auditorium of the Winter Garden Theater. Yes, to your immediate left is a little bar where my friends worked. There's a little bar there tucked back in the corner where Randy and Carp worked, and my soon-to-be boss and good friend, CT, who was the head bartender. They all worked there at this little bar. And you look to your right, and there is the grand, huge auditorium of the Winter Garden Theater. Seating capacity, 1,526 seats. Yes, and beyond that huge auditorium, the vast stage of the Winter Garden Theater. Right now, the Winter Garden Theater is decked out with the set for the musical Cats. It is decked out in giant garbage and trash. It's made giant garbage and trash to make the human kitty cats look smaller by comparison. So all of the set is outsized. It's big tires, big milk cartons, big tins of soup, big everything, you name it. And beyond it is a beautiful starlit sky. That set is dazzling. It is. You walk down the house right of the theater, up by nearby the stage. There's a little spooky staircase that you can go upstairs to, and that'll take you to the office of the concessions. That's where my friend CT has his office, and we all meet there briefly before work. Yes. So my job is to stand in the lobby and sell merchandise for the current show. I'd stand in front of a little cart with my partner. I had various partners throughout the seasons. I stayed fast, and it was a rotating door, a revolving door of partners for a while. Yes. And we stood in front of this little cart that was packed and stuffed and wedged and crammed with merchandise, with the aforementioned merchandise. Yes. And I had many partners there at the Winter Garden. And the partner that I worked the longest with, the most with, and I did the most sales with was from Dearborn, Michigan, my hometown. Fantastic. His name was Harold, and he was brilliant and methodical. Yes, he was basically unflappable. I loved working with him. And we sold a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot of T-shirts and programs. Those are the big business, is the programs and the T-shirts. We sold sweatshirts and we sold the recordings, but it was mostly those programs and those T-shirts. Oh, yeah, and Harold had an encyclopedic, he had an encyclopedic knowledge of movies, cinema, and Broadway. You name any movie you've even heard of, he's seen it. Yes. He knew about just about any movie or Broadway play you could name. Brilliant. All right, another one of my coworkers there in the Winter Garden Theater on Broadway and 50th Street was also from Dearborn. What are the odds? Well, 100%, as it turns out. It was my old pal Carp, my drinking buddy. Now, we sold a lot of T-shirts. We sold a lot of programs. And we hawked the merchandise like carnival barkers, much to the annoyance of the house manager. Cats, full color, shoe programs, T-shirts. Yeah. The master of Metropolis was not thrilled with us at all. No. Well, and I had other partners. Then there was Anthony, little Anthony, the movie fan. He was very enthusiastic. I liked him. Then there was this guy who had a cardboard toupee. I don't even remember his name. And he was really slow. I was glad he didn't hang around. And then there was lovely Bedford, a young woman who was a Broadway musical fan. Yes, everybody had their own interests. My last partner that I worked with was a tall and earnest fellow by the name of Perry. And he and I got along quite famously. And part of the biggest part of the job is balancing the books after every sales period. Yes, we have 3 sales period in a show, and we have to balance the books each time after each sales period. Yes, and there's a list of numbers of the prices that we had to fill in every day on these sheets every time we balance the books. And those prices were 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18, 20, 14. Those were the prices. And they were the merchandise that they corresponded to were as follows. 5, that was the Cats program, the full color show program, with many pictures and a lot of random text. Yes. 2, the Cats button, the little button that said Cats. 5, the Old Possum Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot, the book upon which the musical Cats is based. Jellicle Cats come out tonight. That's T.S. Eliot. Yes. 5, 2, 5, 11. 11 was the t-shirt. We sold so many t-shirts. Small, medium, and large. They ran a little bit small. We had some extra large too, but we'd say, t-shirts with eyes on the front, with the eyes on the front, or the eyes on the front. Cats on the front and the eyes on the back. Right. And so we'd be selling those by the galore. 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18. That was the cast recording on an LP or the cast recording on a cassette. Yeah, we didn't have CDs yet, did we? Yes, no, we didn't. 18, 18, 20. That was the sweatshirt, the $20 sweatshirt. And 14 was the deluxe version of the program, which had a lot more full color photos and a lot more random text. 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18, 20, 14. Well, when Perry came working at the Winter Garden with me, he determined that series of numbers is never going to be able to leave our head. We used it so many times, we wrote it so many times that it is etched on the inside of my skull like a prisoner's hash marks. Yes. 5, 2, 5, 11, 18, 18, 20, 14. It still just rolls off the tongue even today. We had 3 sales periods every show and 8 shows a week. Each sales period was a crush of people. It was like subway rush hour. Hundreds of tourists flinging money at us, getting programs and t-shirts and programs, sweatshirts, occasionally recordings, occasionally Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. $5 seemed like nothing for a program. $11 seemed like nothing for a t-shirt in those days. It was fantastic. We sold so many pieces of merchandise. And then, so the pre-show, we sell and hawk merchandise, and then we have to pack it up, balance the books, and wait for intermission. Intermission, the next selling period. We hawk and sell the goods, and then we have, when intermission is over, we pack everything up, balance the books, and get ready for the closing sales period, which is when they're filing out after the show, and we finish selling, and then we pack everything up, box it up, balance the books, and then we're free to go home. This was 3 times a show we had to balance the books, 8 shows a week. It was exhausting and a little bit terrifying. Because don't forget, this is Manhattan. Yes, if you fuck up in Manhattan, we'll make your life so miserable that I mean, that is to say, get out there and sell. So we would pack it up again, box it up again, balance the books again, and wait while the jellicles danced for the next storm. I mean, sales period. What? And give up show business? All right. Here we are in Stave 3. Thank you for coming along this journey with me. I'm having so much fun talking to you good folks. So here's the deal. I want you to comment. If I haven't heard from you, please give a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right? And share this out. We got to share it around. We got to build an empire together. Well, thank you for coming, and I look so forward to seeing you next time. Yes.